So, today we're going to talk about the recent Year 2 announcement, and that is to say the developers of the Division, Massive Entertainment, just unveiled all of the Year 2 content coming to the Division, or not all of it, but certainly the headline items, the things that we can definitely look forward to, because when you're doing an announcement, you do your big stuff, you do your exciting stuff in that announcement, and then you let the detail come later. A lot of people are hoping that, hey, maybe there's heaps more stuff coming that they haven't talked about yet. That's not the way announcements work. They give you the biggest, best stuff first, and then there'll be some other smaller stuff to accompany it. So what we heard on that stream and before that in the leaked Game Rant article was that there's going to be a few things coming with this expansion, or these two expansions. There are two expansions. They are both free and they are called expansion packs, which I think is very specific word usage, which we might talk about in a moment. So that's number one. Number two, they did say they're going to be very PvE focused, and they specifically did not call out any additions to the PvP game. Within that PvE framework, they're going to be bringing something called seasons. Now, seasons, for those of you that don't know what they are, if you imagine, or if you've played Diablo, you'll know what this is really well. It's kind of like resets your stats. At the beginning of a season, you kind of level your character up. That's the way that Diablo does it. And within that, though, the developers are talking about the idea of having modifiers for content. So, for example, they gave one example in the stream whereby if you're doing content, you do more damage if you're within 10 meters of the content, right? So if you're of your enemy. So it makes you play in a different way, because rather than sitting back and sniping, you're more encouraged to go closer and use an SMG because you'll do more damage. And they want to mix up the game that way with these seasons. So it's not clear whether they're going to go down that Diablo path and have us level up new characters every season, or whether or not they're just going to have these modified based events and we do it that way. What's clear though is that these seasons will not involve any new content. There are no new areas, there's no raids, there's no expansions to the story, no new incursions, there's no new real estate, I guess is the best way to phrase it. There's not 1 square foot of new map territory or new mission territory. It's all the same stuff. It's just done in a different way in the context of these seasons. The other thing that they talked about were loadouts. Now, loadouts are essentially hot swapping your gear configuration. So if I'm wearing my Predator build, I click a button and then all of a sudden I'm wearing my Striker build or my Tactician's build or my high-end build or whatever it is, right? Move between my builds really easily. It's essentially a UI change that many other games already have, but that's that. So we'll talk about that as well. And then finally, they said that there are feats coming, like F-E-A-T-S, and they're essentially achievements. They gave the example of break 1,000 of the little, pressure points. Pressure points? I forget what they're called. Like pop those backpack things so they start exploding, or whatever they're called. So those are the three things that we know are coming with this first expansion. There's seasons, there's loadouts, and then there's these achievements, these feats. And then the developers also said that in the next expansion, which is slated toward the end of the year most likely, they said they want it to be more narrative focused. But I really would not put much more stock in that at this point, guys, because that was clearly a thought bubble on the part of the developers. They've not committed to that now, in the sense that you could literally see them on the couch talking about it, just sort of being like, hey, we've learned recently that people are really keen on story. We're going to do that next time around. I mean, that sort of interaction in itself I found frustrating, to be honest, because of course we've always wanted more story. If you spent 2 seconds on Reddit at any point in time, you would know that people wanted more story. So to sort of come to that realization rather suddenly and then say, oh, actually we missed the boat on this first lot of DLC, we're going to give it to you at the second, I don't know how much weight we can put in that. And furthermore, with the narrative structure that Massive relies upon, which is those audio codecs that you find around the ground, on the ground or in the underground, I wouldn't expect that narrative to be, missions and cutscenes and all that stuff. Maybe it will be, don't get me wrong. It's very possible that it will be, but I really highly doubt it. And I'm going to talk about why that is now. That's it. That's what's coming. Now, what we didn't hear anything about was, like there's no new story, there's no new playable areas, no new HVTs, no more missions, there's, no raids, which people always ask for. There's a wish list of stuff of PvE content that we didn't hear about, and simultaneously PvP content that we didn't hear about either. We didn't hear about new maps for Last Stand Game Mode. We didn't hear about new types of Last Stand Game Mode, in fact. We didn't hear about any of that. We just heard about these three things, these seasons, these loadouts, and these achievements. You can probably tell by the way that I'm talking about this that I'm sort of sounding negative about it, and I guess that you know, I have to be honest and say that obviously I think it kind of sucks. It is a year 2 announcement for a game that I love, and it doesn't fill me with a lot of confidence in the direction that it's gonna take the game, right? I think there are really 2 ways that Massive and Ubisoft could have gone with this, and that is to say, one way would have been to go the way that, you know, Destiny went, where they said, man, we really kind of like messed up in year 1. You know what we're gonna do? We're gonna go out there and we're gonna blow the doors off it for this Taken King expansion that we're gonna do, right? We're gonna go nuts, everyone's gonna love it, it's gonna reinvent the game, boom, right? So that would have been one path. And similarly with something like the Reaper of Souls expansion for Diablo 3, really fundamentally rebuilt the game, huge expansion in terms of the way it restructured play, completely revitalized it, huge drop of content off it went, right? So that's one way they could have gone with year 2. They could have said, we learned everything from year 1, but now we're kind of just, you know, we're going to fix all that. We're going to take all that learning and we're going to funnel it into a reimagining and an improving of the experience in a big way. And they would have charged us for this content. It would have been like pricey DLC, and I would have happily paid money for it because I would love to see more meaningful content, more meaningful expansions to this world. Other way that they could have gone, in the way that they did go, was to do very minimal changes and work within the existing constraints that they have to try and spice it up, to really kind of give the game, or to maintain the pulse of the game for what I believe is warming up for the sequel. Now, just to dispel any rumors that might be swirling about this, don't expect that the second DLC is going to be magically larger and more exciting and more revitalizing than the first one, because that doesn't make any commercial sense. This first DLC drop is your chance to say to the player base, guys, we're with you, there's going to be a big game ahead, don't go anywhere, right? And to really go large on it, to make that bold statement, not just to that community, but to the whole gaming community, to say the Division is here to stay, and to really keep that game thriving, right? That's how you would do that. If that was your intent, that's what you would do. You wouldn't let a very large portion of your player base hemorrhage, as will happen now with this announcement, and then all of a sudden at the end of the year, when Destiny 2 is already out, which by the way is a huge competitor to this, so that's why I'll reference it in this video, but you don't wait until the end of the year, Christmas time, Destiny 2, whatever, and say, oh, by the way guys, we're going to do a huge content drop here, we're going to try and compete with the best, newest games on the market with a gigantic DLC drop. That's not going to happen, guys. You got to set your expectations fair and at the right level, and this DLC 1 announcement really sets us up very clearly for what the second expansion will be, which is, I think, very small time. So just be aware of that. But anyway, I think that this really is a statement that the developers are not interested in seeing this game thrive in year 2. I think they want to keep it going. They want to keep the pulse alive, like, so to speak, you know, but they don't want to attract large numbers of new players. They don't want the game to be the Taken King or the Reaper of Souls revitalization that we've seen. They're essentially vacating the field. They committed to us in this live stream that there are 5 studios currently working on the Division, guys. 5 studios, and they said that that's happening right now, and Ubisoft says that will continue to happen into the future. There is no way it's taking 5 studios right now. Like, there's no way 5 studios are making what we just heard on that live stream. No way, no how. They are absolutely working on the Avatar game, which was announced, and that is being done by Massive, by the way. That's not being done by Redstorm or Analysed or Reflections or whatever. It's just being done by Massive, right? So you've got Avatar is absolutely going to siphon off some resources, but Ubisoft have said that Massive will always take the lead on the development of the Division into the future. Like, that's their thing. So Massive are going to take that game, they're going to lead the development of it with the support of the other studios, and I guarantee you they are making a sequel now, guys. That, as I said, the lack of content that we have seen in this says to me really clearly that they are chasing the sequel rather than chasing a revitalization of the game. And why Would they do that? Why wouldn't they try and fix the game? Well, I think personally, and just speaking very frankly, I think it's kind of clear at this point that the game probably can't be like saved or revitalized in the way that, you know, Destiny or Reaper of Souls were able to be, or Diablo 3 that is. As an example, that's that night where we had the live stream, we had obviously Hamish and Yannick and Julian and Drew and some other guy, I can't remember his name now. They were all presenting on the couch, and they had 8,000 people watching that stream announcing year 2 content. And that year 2 content could have been anything, right? Could have been absolutely anything. We could have said, hey man, there's like, we're doing 10 new raids this year and new classes, new people. It could have been anything. Sky's the limit. 8,000 people were watching that stream. Destiny was doing a stream immediately after that. So the very second that the Division finished their stream, Destiny started theirs. You know how many people they had watching? 100,000 people. In fact, it kind of peaked at around nearly 110,000 at one point. 110,000 people were watching that, and you know what they were announcing? What everyone expected, which was basically just a revitalization of their old raid content updated for year 3 with some other new stuff. It's a cool update, by the way, don't get me wrong. It is repurposing old content, but there's a lot of old content for them to repurpose, and it was really, really good, and it's a nice little sort of like send-off to the game as they get ready for the sequel. 8,000 people, nearly 110,000 people. I think Ubisoft are pretty clear on the numbers, and they're saying, well, I don't think it's likely that DLC is going to save this game. We better hit the reset button and shoot for the sequel. I think that's what's happening here. There's no way that Ubisoft are going to vacate this license. No way, no how. They have spent so much money building this up. They are literally making a Division movie as well, starring Jake Gyllenhaal. They've said themselves they're committed to the brand in the long term. It just makes too much money for them not to make a sequel. So that is, I think, where this is going. And I think that's why we saw such an anemic announcement in terms of news. Again, I probably sound really down in the dumps and like really negative, and I hope you guys don't. I do feel disappointed by this. I would have loved for the guys to have come out and said, man, we've got all this stuff, check this out. And we're like, fuck yeah, that's awesome, all this new stuff. I'm gonna be playing the Division every day for the next like 365 days, baby, let's do it, you know? I would have loved for that to have happened, and it didn't happen. But I'm not angry or disappointed, I'm just sad. I know it sounds really lame and cliche, but it's true, like I am, because Massive delivered us I said before, like a flawed masterpiece. It was a fantastic game when it worked, but it was full of issues. I will more than happily look past those issues because I love the game, and I just accept it for what it is. I know it is extremely imperfect, but it was really good for what it was, and I had hundreds, thousands of hours on that I played it, and I got my money's worth. So I look back on that experience and I say, thank you very much, Massive. I really appreciate the work that you put in, and I fully acknowledge that work. So I'm not like, man, fuck Massive, where's my YouTube content? I'm like, they have chosen to go a different path. They have chosen to make the game sort of like Diablo 3 exists, or Borderlands 2 exists in like these days, which is it's there, it works, the server's alive, but it's only for the people that already enjoy it, or for the people that happen to come to it. It's not there to pull in lots of players and become like the next big thing. You know, like Destiny is constantly trying to bring out new content to attract new players and maintain the strength of its brand, but they're not trying to do that here. They're literally just trying to keep it on life support, ready for the future. And I respect that decision. I do, I really do, because it's their game. They're a studio. Ubisoft is a company. They need to make money, and they feel like this is the best path forward for them. So no hard feelings in that regard. But as I said, I am disappointed because I really would have liked it to have been otherwise. I would have liked a huge drop of content. And I thought that would have been, you know, pretty rad. So I say this, I think that we need to accept at this point right now that the best days of the Division are behind us for the Division 1, this initial release, right? We are not going to be looking forward to gigantic drops of content. There is no longer a limitless horizon with where this game could go or what it could become, in the way that I think we all thought, you know, just a week ago, we're like, what could they do with year 2? Now we know what they're doing, not just with year 2, but with year 3, while we wait for the follow-up to this game, right? So that horizon is clear to us now. It's a very small horizon. And so that's why I'm saying the best days are behind us. You know, we got our game modes, we got no expansion to the story, but whatever, you know, like we had lots of fun along the way, but we need to recognize that what we're gonna have now going forward is an experience that is going to be familiar and reliable. It's like an old pair of jeans. You can step into it. You know, it's never going to leave. You're always going to be able to have fun with your friends if that's really your thing. But it's not going to be the game that I think many of us had hoped, which is something that really competes on the broader scale, on the broader spectrum of gaming, that competes with Destiny, that competes with World of Warcraft, that competes with any other online game or whatever. It's not planning on being that. It's planning on being something else, something a bit more chill and reliable and known, a bit more of a known quantity. It's not planning on being the breakthrough, like, blockbuster in the future. So that's okay, because as I said, I respect that choice. But I think we as a community, we need to accept that, right? Because if we don't accept that, we're just gonna be pissed off and angry all the time. We're gonna be logging in and we're gonna be like, oh man, when am I gonna get some new content? Come on now, this sucks. You're not gonna get new content. You're not. Like, you just need to accept that. And if you choose to continue to play this game, then I think it needs to be on those terms. Otherwise, you're really just setting yourself up for disappointment. Now, there's gonna be lots of people in the community right now that are like, game is dead, RIP Division, they officially killed it. And like, partly, in part, they are right. If you want to define a game that is alive as being one that is constantly growing and at the forefront of things, then this is not where this game is going right now. But nor is it dead either. It's not a dead game. I'm going to continue playing it. I'm going to continue covering it because I love it. And that's it. That's not going to change, you know what I mean? But it's not going to be like we had hoped. It's not going to be like that. Anyway, I'm sad, as you can tell. It's disappointing. I wanted it to be something different, as I'm sure many of you out there did as well. But yeah, man, at the end of the day, it's just a video game. We've got to keep perspective as well. There are going to be other games that come along that are going to like really capture us. There's going to be this game that we're going to continue playing if we want to because we love it. And then there's going to be a sequel in the future. And hopefully it fixes up all these issues that we've had in the past and it becomes the experience that we've always wanted it to be. But obviously we don't know yet because that is a long, long way off. So yeah. Anyway, guys, let me know what you think in the comments below. Are you happy with this? Are you like okay with this? Is this like absolutely not? I feel like I've been totally ripped off. This is the worst thing ever. Like, let's talk about that because I think that the community is going to go through a process over the next 2 to 3 months when they sort of figure this out. And yeah, that conversation will be important. I will say this though. I think it sucks that we have to wait 4 months for loadouts. I think that really sucks, in fact. We saw that it works. It's there. Like, it works right now. And I'm not saying it's perfect, I'm sure there's more work to be done on it, but like there's not 4 months worth of work to be done on that. And if you want to like hold on to your player base between now and then, one of the best ways that you can enable build diversity is by giving us that feature ASAP so that we can actually use it and keep playing this game in the way that we're going to have to play in the next little while with no new content whatsoever for the next 4 months. Having some loadouts available is actually really going to like be a big shot in the arm for the game. So I really think that we should get that like ASAP, because waiting 4 months for something that we've already seen is built and working, I don't think is right. Anyway, that's my little request at the end of this video. Guys, I'm doing a podcast very soon with Marco Style, Arix, Like Butter, and a special guest. That is being recorded Saturday morning Australia time, and it will probably go live Sunday night Australia time, so get ready for that one. Make sure you hit the notification bell on my channel if you're interested in seeing that one, because it's obviously going to be one, huge in terms of the things to discuss, and two, it'll be maybe our last podcast for certainly the foreseeable future, but who knows how things will change after that. So so do be sure to check that one out. Guys, I am not going anywhere, and I just want to make that really clear. I know I've sounded melancholic in this thing, you know, down in the dumps, but you know, I totally get it. I get Massive's decision, and I support Massive in that decision, and I am going to continue to play and cover this game. So don't worry, I'm still here. I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to be covering other games as well, as I've been doing in the last little while. But man, Division's always going to be there, so don't worry about that. Anyway, guys, if you liked the video, drop it a like and obviously subscribe, because as I said, I'll still be doing Division videos. Thank you very much for watching. Take care, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.